beats and guitar riffs to the World Wide Web, from one countryside to the next. It's an international love affair, and new music is our gift to the free world. Our freedom of expression is only limited by our creativity, so we stand together, and because of it, our voices are unlimited. We represent every corner of the world as we broadcast our message to every country, state, city, and town. Our supporters have expressed tremendous gratitude for taking the high road and giving them free music again. To the world.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome back, old friends and new. Welcome to Truthseekers, where every day that we're here, we try to fight the good fight. And what a fight it has been, especially these last few weeks, which may explain a little bit of my absence last week. But we are back on track. Sometimes I would say ready to attack, but tonight I'm more ready to make peace with many things. You know, the serenity prayer comes to mind. I suppose I have to learn the wisdom to know what things I cannot change. And there's many things that I can't change. The least of all is this stupid world of conspiracy land that I have found myself engrossed in for many years now. So I do have some notes, a lot of them, to try to get through here. And I apologize, but any super chats we will read after I've gotten through the notes. I'm afraid I will get too sidetracked paying attention to the live chat. So you'll forgive me all those supporters, which we love and thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. So getting back to last week, and where people have said I disappeared. And I'm glad, it is nice that people notice when you're not around. And thanks to the few people who reached out to me and made sure that I was okay, or, what was going on. Because you see, last week was not fun. And for the first time in years, I got disgusted enough with this whole circus and shit show to just walk away for a time. I felt like I had to. Because last week and the week before that, I got to deal with a lot of things. Coordinated copyright strikes against our channel here. And there was 2. Enough, and threats of another one. And again, these are coordinated attacks, and I will get into more specifics if I feel that I need to. So last week I got to deal with all of these copyright strikes, and in honesty, I thought that our channel was done. Because these are coordinated attacks. By that I mean several people getting together and coordinating their copyright strikes in an effort to get us through the 3 strikes and destroy our channel. I also got to deal with some serious legal threats. Then, to top it off, I got doxxed, and another show host released my personal information. Well, actually, I believe that that was a coordinated effort as well, because I was forced, due to these copyright strikes, to put legal defense letters forward, which contained my personal private information, including things like my home address. And it's interesting to me that I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years, and we've pissed off a lot of people, but no one has ever doxed me and released my personal information, my name and home address to the general public. But just a few weeks after I was forced to give YouTube and the copyright striker my home address and, private information. By the way, it's illegal for somebody who files a copyright strike against you to release that personal or private information to other parties. And we may be pursuing that. Because just a few weeks after I was forced, in a legal sense, to release that personal private information to one of these copyright strikers, a radio show host, some of you will know who I'm talking about. Just a few weeks after that, remember, 6, 7 years, never been doxxed. Just a few weeks after he got that information, everyone had that information. I started getting what some people would refer to as angry lawyer letters, cease and desist letters, people threatening to sue me, coming right to my door. And that's never happened before. I've never gotten one at my home address. So, maybe I'm a little too conspiratorial myself, but I don't think that is any coincidence that I was forced to give my private information to this one individual, and suddenly all of his friends had it. Isn't that a coincidence? Isn't that a coincidence? Now, then on top of all of this other drama, my entire family came down with a bad stomach virus. I thought it was nerves for me, but since everybody else had the same symptoms in my family, one of the kids started throwing up, and then my wife, and then me. It was a tough week, and I chose to just take the week off and try to deal with all these things and get them over with and out of the way. I don't like legal threats hanging over me. So now on to the good news. The copyright strikes are completely resolved, and now we don't have any. But this is not to say that we are safe and in the clear, because now I hear that some of that radio show host friends are now threatening copyright strikes against another show host, not me, but Goofon. And I've used clips from that guy's show, so there could be more false copyright strikes in my very near future. And our channel is in severe danger here, because it appears to me that this radio show host, and again, this is my speculation, I'm entitled to it, is not only sharing my personal private information, such as my home address, with other people that are his friends that have some grievance with me, right? but also coordinating copyright strikes in an effort to destroy our channel here. So, it's been a tough week. The two copyright strikes we had are now resolved. But like I said, we're not in the clear because it appears that this radio show host is coordinating with his scummy friends to destroy our show and destroy our channel. And quite honestly, last week, I thought we were finished. I thought that third strike's going to come in. They're all within 90 days, and I'm done. And I'm done. There's, at some point, I took a walk outside, and I just said, I'm going to leave this up to God. There's nothing I can do here, right? If people want to falsely make legal claims and threats against my show and my channel, and the host is just going to believe them, there's not much that I can do. So I'd like to begin tonight, though, with some things that I had thought about over the week and a cautionary tale, or two of them actually, about this road that we are on. Because you see, I'm not the first person to go down this road and start calling out these scammers and fraudsters. There was people before me with bigger megaphones while I was off in audio podcast land and almost nobody was listening to me for quite a while. There were others. Most notably, the two that I really enjoyed was Joe from the Carolinas and C.W. Channer. And I mentioned this is a cautionary tale. Joe from the Carolinas got doxxed, and in his case, they released his employment information, his workplace where he worked, his home address, and more. And I believe, I don't really know Joe. I talked to him a few times in I don't know, Twitter DMs or something like that. But in Joe's case, they harassed his employer so much, and him so much, and his neighbors, and all manner of things. Once somebody puts your address out there and then riles up these nutters to go after you, it's very taxing psychologically, emotionally, whatever. Now, I'll say in my case that I've got a lot of weapons, and I am a big supporter of protecting my home. So any nutters get the wrong idea in my case of doxing, all I got to tell you is I will vigorously defend my family and my home here. It would be a very foolish thing for any dumb nutter to come here and threaten myself, or especially my family. Let's remember, I live here with my wife and my two young children. So back to Joe from the Carolinas. Joe took so much nonsense from doing similar stories that we do here that he got doxxed and really disrupted and screwed up his life and his job and all manner of things. Joe got, I believe that he got, I don't want to put words in his mouth, I don't want to speak for him, but my understanding is that Joe from the Carolinas, who, by the way, did amazing, excellent work, commendable work, Joe got so distraught, traumatized, whatever, from what happened with his doxing situation that he literally just walked away from everything. For a time, he changed to I don't know, covering space and different things, and the channel just wasn't the same. The people were there to see him rip apart fraudsters, and so his views went down. And I guess eventually he just said, I'm done. And he walked away. This is the effect that people attacking you in this manner, violating your privacy, directing people to attack you, not just on the internet now, in the real world. And, I have to say, I wasn't fearful last week or anything like that, but I have my guard up now. Sometime last week, a delivery driver came to my door and I didn't see the truck. And so that could have been a bad situation. My guard is heightened now. And will be heightened now, because I don't know if some nutter's going to come here and threaten me or my family. And but it is what it is. Back to Joe, he got so disgusted he quit. And I thought a lot about that last week. I thought, is this really worth it? Am I going to put my family in danger over this nonsense? Then on to C.W. Channer, who did coverage like we do, of Corey Good and David Wilcock and Simon Parks and others. And he got doxxed. And then he got sued. And even though it's a frivolous lawsuit that is dragged on now for 2.5 years, by the way, ask anybody who's ever been sued. That's very psychologically difficult. Even when you know you're right, even when you know it's a frivolous lawsuit. In C.W. Channer's case, it cost him something like $15,000 so far. And the case is drug on for 2.5 years. Nobody's seen the inside of a courtroom yet. They're still dealing with motions, and they're about 2 years behind because of COVID. But he's had to have that hanging over his psyche for 2 years or more. And that I can tell you, I got sued one time in a frivolous lawsuit. Somebody literally laid down on my pavement in Philadelphia and claimed they fell. I watched them lay down, an older woman. And then I got sued. And that was very psychologically difficult because, they could get a lien on my home, and we were trying to fix up the house and move, and that could have screwed up our moving plan, all these things. All I can tell you is when you're actually sued, it's traumatic, and it's always on your mind or in the back of your mind, and it's stressful. That's what people want when they threaten you with lawsuits or sue you. They want to damage your psyche, to make you worry, right? So the cautionary tale is that we've got two people that I know or knew, right? I don't know Joe very well. Never spoke to him on the phone or in person, but just a few times through DMs. He was aware of me. I was aware of him. But C.W. Channer I know, and I've talked to him on the phone, and he's talked to me. And C.W. Channer has basically said, I'm not going to cover any of this crap anymore. It's not worth it. So what I get to see is the end result of this road, and where it's going is not a good place for anybody else that's tried to traverse it and do the right thing here, and spend a great deal of effort, time, and energy revealing to people that this conspiracy land, especially UFO community, is filled with disgusting, despicable con artists and other less than scrupulous people. And those people, once you become a real threat to them, and I suppose we have become a threat to some people, and isn't it interesting that it's the higher ups that I'm the big threat to, right? They're going to come after me, a channel with less than 5,000 subscribers. They're going to try to silence my voice in this thing because I'm so damaging to them with less than 5,000 subscribers. Anyway, I can see where this road's going, and it's not a good place. It's not a good road to stay on. And it appears to me to be a fool's mission, because for all my effort, for all my altruistic intentions, what's changed? I suppose many more people are aware of who these scammers are and what their true motivation is. But look at the damage that this has done to me personally, to my family now. And, I got to go explain to my wife why I'm a little high strung or vigilant anytime somebody's, creeping around our house, or, like last week, some dark sedan pulled up in front of my house, and I'd never seen it before. It wasn't one of my neighbor's car. And I was like, who the hell is this? Is this some nutter? And I have to go out and investigate. And, I suppose my biggest regret is that, I don't want my wife to worry that some nutter is going to come here because of this dickhead show host that decided to dox me. But this guy doxed me on his show co-host or whatever, doxed me publicly on Twitter and more. And by the way, called me a pedophile with no evidence or anything like that. That's the level that these disgusting, despicable people are willing to go to. That's the level they're willing to go to. And unless you're willing to stoop that low too, you're going to have problems. And I'm just not the kind of person. I have that show host's personal information. I'm not giving it out to anybody. For me to do so would be illegal. But this is where I find myself. And I get it. So many people are reaching out to me going, oh, Steve, cheering me on. Like, yeah, don't give anybody, no more passes, Steve. Don't let up on these scammers. Go get these scammers. Right? But the truth is, no matter how much somebody claims to support me, my show, or my efforts, the truth is that none of these people will be here to pay my legal bills. And I mean that in multiple ways. First of all, if I get a frivolous lawsuit, none of these people cheer me on, always saying, yeah, go get those scammers, Steve, are going to pay my legal bills. I'm going to have to do that myself. And a secondary thought that I had is, if someone should come here and threaten my family, that could turn into a legal situation, because I will not hesitate to defend my home and my family. And we all know that sometimes things can be turned around. Maybe the police decide you go too far in the defense of your home or your family. That could be a whole bunch of legal bills and a criminal charge that I don't need. I've got a wife and children here. I don't need the legal problems. So people are not going to come to my aid here. All these people cheer me on are not, yeah, go get those scammers. Well, what happens when this situation turns into a really shitty one for me? People are not going to be here to pay my legal bills for me or to hold my hand through, criminal charges I get for going too far to defend myself and my family. No. So, and also these people cheer me on. They're not going to be here when some nutbag decides to come to my home because some bitter, angry, delusional man, who claims he has superpowers and gets abducted by aliens, decided to dox me and put my family name out there and address and put my family in danger, even directing people to, quote, make me pay. Pay for what? What I did that pissed that guy off so much is I hosted a guest he didn't like, who made a film he didn't agree with or like. And this is where we find ourselves. And, it leaves me wondering, is all of this worth it? Is this really worth it? Am I going to put myself and my family through more abuse, more legal threats, more stress and anxiety over this nonsense? And this is a circus and a cesspool. There are people out there still trying to profit off the work of Wendell Stevens, a twice convicted child molester. There are people trying to sell stories that include pictures from his archive. And that'll tell you everything you need to know about how despicable some people in this thing are. Sorry, not sorry, but I'm not really interested in pictures from some twice convicted pedophile's collection. The source of evidence matters. And for anyone to suggest that we should somehow trust a twice convicted pedophile displays perfectly the level of lunacy that this thing has escalated into, and why most of me thinks I don't want to be a part of this anymore. We've got Jan Harzan, the child molester, right? International director of MUFON gets busted for trying to bang what he thought was a 13-year-old girl. But MUFON rolls on, making millions of dollars, doing almost nothing of value, but collecting millions of dollars in cash. And what do? They give people a nice certificate that calls them a UFO investigator. And the grift goes on. After Jan Harzan got arrested for trying to bang a 13-year-old girl, they replaced him with a guy who does sex airplane tours, where you can go bang your girlfriend on his airplane. And he also gives airplane rides to children. Isn't that lovely? But no one seems to notice and no one seems to mind. And I'm the bad guy for saying that this is disgusting and this is ludicrous. And of course, we've got Stan Romanek and companies still profiting from that kitty porn collector. We've got the top echelons of UFO community, the big shots, all working for the same company that is right now promoting and profiting from a convicted kitty porn collector. And apparently all those top tier UFO celebrities need the paycheck that badly that they're just willing to work for a company that's promoting a kitty porn collector. But don't point this out or tell any of their fans that they're working for a company that promotes kitty porn collectors, or you'll be the bad guy. You'll get doxxed. You'll get threatened with lawsuits. And to be honest, that's the least of it. There is also the matter of all the abuse that I've had to take. And I get it. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm going to piss some people off. especially these delusional idiots that believe these heroes of theirs are worthy of the worship heaped upon them. Because every time I log on to Twitter, I've got some asshole busting my balls because they didn't like a guest I had, or they didn't like a story we did, even though it was 100% factually true, right? Every time I'm on Facebook, some asshole is busting my balls. Every time I'm on Twitter or wherever, somebody's busting my balls. You get sick of it after a while. And last week, I did something I never do. You know how critical I am of show hosts who block people, but I finally decided if you engage with me reasonably, respectfully, I have no problem answering questions, engaging with you, whatever. But if you're going to just be an asshole, I'm going to erase you from my existence. And there's been several people, especially on UFO Twitter, these assholes love to keep bringing up the same shit. And then I explain it. And then they bring up the same shit again a few days later. They just keep on trying to peck away at my reputation, to turn people against me. Look what a bad person he is. Look what he did. He hosted a show. He hosted a guest that I don't like. Wah! You bunch of pussies. These bunch of pussies. Keyboard warrior pussies. And you know, I've reached a level where I'm done with it. I'm sick of this shit. So block, 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 block. And on with my life. I have no obligation to answer assholes that keep on trying to slander me and turn people against me, damage my reputation with false statements. My favorite was last week. Somebody just decided, some show host, co-host, asshole, Uncle Fester's co-host decided he was just going to call me a pedophile on Twitter. No proof. And, it turns out that same guy's had a whole playlist of 8 and 10-year-old girls dancing, and he's going to call me a pedophile with no proof. Jesus, is that projection much, you asshole? How's your wife feel knowing that you've got an entire playlist of 8 and 10-year-old girls dancing that you're dumb enough to leave public, you dumb shit? And you think that show host would go, dude, that's fucking creepy. You can't be on my show no more. You're a creeper. Of course not. Of course not. They're going to lick each other's asses and keep going, calling me shit like that. But I'm the bad guy here. Remember, when all else fails, blame Stephen Cambion. It's a rule in ufology. It works, apparently, right? Now, we can move on to, I suppose, Linda Moulton Howe and, that vitriol. Because people, including that idiot show host that apparently has somebody that likes to watch 8-year-old girls dance on YouTube for hours, he defended Linda selling a video game cover as a genuine gray alien taken on the moon. And that's absolutely ludicrous. Anybody defending Linda Moulton Howe, people attacked me and other show hosts, asked one of my questions, they attacked him and more. And let's not forget, this isn't the first completely fake thing that Linda Moulton Howe has been caught peddling. She peddled the fake carrot documents, right? For years. She peddled fake crop circle stories, even when the people who hoaxed the crop circles came forward to her and showed her proof that they made those fake crop circles. Still, she doubled down and she said that the men in black got to those people and made them lie. And no, it wasn't them. It was aliens that made those crop circles. She doubles down, insisting the men in black got to those people to lie about those alien-made crop circles. 1 second. Camera out? What do you mean? One second, friends. What is that about? Oh, that's great. Just bear with me, friends. Apparently, what the hell? We're having technical issues. I have no camera. This is great. No camera. Just bear with me, friends. In 1 second, we'll see if we can't resolve that. That's great. I've been talking in the dark for 30 minutes. And I don't know what the issue is. Well, thanks to my wife for letting me know. I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention to the live chat. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. I could see myself the entire time. Now I've lost my place. Well, this is great. So now I'm going to have to, oh, we're going to have to edit this big time. All right. Well, all right. Let's get back to what I was saying, and I'll worry about fixing this later. Somebody's saying it's okay. Maybe I'm more handsome without the camera on. Thanks. So, back to Linda Moulton Howe, people are viciously attacking me just because I asked a question. And let's not forget, she pushed a whole documentary about two fake whistleblowers who claimed to have some knowledge of aliens in Antarctica. One of her fake sources for that story was a fake Navy SEAL. He even gave a rank that does not exist in the Navy. But remember, I'm the bad guy for pointing out her information is not reliable, vetted at all, or worthy of your attention. And the fact that people in this thing are defending her selling this fake shit, again, tells you the people in this thing are delusional. And no matter how much proof you show them that somebody's not worthy of your attention, they still want to lick their ass and worship that hero, right? Next, we have Richard Dolan, who took part in and profited from the Roswell slide scam. He then laughed at people who said his career should be over for taking part in that kind of a money-grubbing scam. He's been involved in many fake stories and has promoted hoaxes in the past. I believe he's promoting a hoax right now in the form of these Wilson documents. Now, apparently, I don't know the details, but he's going after small YouTube channels that are critical of him. The guy who talks about government censorship and the deep state going too far is now going to threaten and censor people simply for talking about him. Awesome. I don't know the details, but apparently he's threatening Rich from Goofon's channel, and Rich from Goofon is concerned enough to start a backup channel and prepare for his channel getting nuked by one Richard Dolan. Next, we've got Simon Parks, who just got caught being a sex creeper yet again. You may remember Simon Parks, we covered his sexually deviant behavior with some of his followers and even clients before. And what did I get for that? Well, he threatened to sue me for defamation and slander. And now several new victims of his, sex creeper stuff have come forward, mostly recently covered by M. Seeker of Truth. Simon Parks has been accused of sexual misconduct by several of his female followers now, and even clients of his who were paying him for his healing services. We stand by our coverage here, but the legal threats are not over. Next, we can move on to Nick Pope, who lied about his running a UFO program for the British government that never really existed. So for decades now, he's been defrauding people. He's still getting big speaker fees, even offering a 5-minute Skype calls to fans for people for, what was it, $49 or $99? I forget. And how many documentaries, television show gigs, and more has Nick Pope gotten where he literally stole money from people with his fake claims? Every TV show or documentary he is on introduces him by repeating his own lies. He did not run any British UFO program. He was an administrative assistant for the Ministry of Defense. Yes, he was a secretary, nothing more. He didn't, as he suggested, investigate a single UFO case for the British government. Not that he can prove. I challenge him to prove that. There isn't a single report or piece of paper proving any of his claims. In fact, the British government says he was never part of any UFO program, and he did not run any British UFO program. Yet every time he's on television, they introduce him by saying that he ran a British UFO program. The British government themselves dispute his fake claims. Yet he has been allowed to defraud UFO conference organizers, television producers, documentary film producers, and the general public for decades now. And nothing seems to change. No matter how loudly you scream from the rooftops that he lied about his background to make money off of UFO people. Next, we get a radio show host whose name shall never be mentioned here again, who profited from pumping up total frauds, fake stories. People like Emery Smith, Corey Goode, David Wilcock, and more recently, Sarah R. Adams, the fake psychic who claims that she can heal people of cancer with her superpowers and takes money from people to teach them how to open stargates and takes money from people for medbed sessions for medbeds that don't exist. And most recently is running a new medbed scam that is essentially a tanning bed with magnets glued in it. Yes, that radio show host hosted all these people. And he also hosts people who tell people behind a paywall that you can cure autism with camel milk and essential oils. This radio show host let David Wilcock pump up and promote two separate scams on his show. He still hosts UFO conferences like he's some kind of authority on the subject, instead of a bottom-feeding weasel slimeball who has profited from decades by feeding the public garbage fake stories and lies from garbage fake people that have nothing but lies to offer. Of course, we've got David Wilcock, who raised, what was it, $100,000 for his shady charity, and apparently spent all that money on himself and his wife, or funneled it into a for-profit venture, something that's illegal. Yes, the man who took money for courses on ascension and promised everyone was going to ascend and get superpowers in 2012 is now selling courses in anti-gravity, claiming anybody will be able to do it once you take his course. That and free energy. And he's claimed he will have a working hover car prototypes sometime in this year. Tick tock, David, clock's ticking. I think he's only got about 8 months left on that claim before that comes crashing down, and he'll be on to the next scam, and nothing will change. Because his grifting goes on. There is no stopping some of these people, no matter how many things you reveal about how they are literally stealing money from people for fake and false information. They keep rolling on. Of course, we've got Corey Goode still suing, 8 or 10 different people simply for saying his fake stories are fabricated and, yes, made up nonsense, and pointing out that he has absolutely zero proof of any of his claims that he's made over the past, 6 or 7 years. He hasn't had a real job, and he's been living off of the UFO community. I think he hasn't had a real job since 2015, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a little hazy on the dates on him. See, instead of just, getting a real job, he decided he could just profit off people stupid enough to believe his fake Buck Rogers space adventure stories. And we've covered him for years, yet he still gets to apparently make hundreds of thousands of dollars from stupid people selling people his fake made-up stories. And there seems to be no end in sight, no matter how often we see his true intention is actually profit. See, the real truth is that this thing is filled with opportunistic bottom-feeding slime balls. A moral and ethical person doesn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to lie about my background. I'm going to make up fake stories, and I'm just going to sell fake stories about aliens to people for a living instead of getting a real job. That's not something a moral and ethical person wakes up and decides to do one day and then does it for decades. And what gets me also is all these UFO shows, and no one is talking about the elephant in the room, these things that we've been talking about tonight. And remember, these are just some examples of this cesspool. I got more for you. I got a lot more for you. I could do this for 4 hours. But this elephant in the room is largely ignored. And you see, all these other show hosts, they play the game. Don't talk about the scams that those guests you're hosting or running. Don't talk about all the hoaxes those guests that you have promoted. Just play the game. Get the clicks and views. We'll all make money together. It's a big club, and I still ain't in it. And, ignoring these predators is not going to solve these issues. It just makes these problems continue and get even worse, because other predators go, man, if this Corey Goode and David Wilcock are making all this money, I can make up some shit and do this too. And the field gets filled with more garbage because no one is standing up to these slime balls. Well, I don't want to say no one. I'm aware of me and maybe a few other people I could count on 2 fingers, right? There's a few other people. Now, on to the Luis Elizondo controversy. I hosted a guest here who made a documentary about that. I got threatened, doxxed, slandered all over Twitter. They talked about some event in my past that happened 10 years ago, but they got the facts of that event all wrong, totally misrepresented the facts of that event on Twitter and other places, other social media networks, even going as far as publicly calling me a pedophile with zero evidence or proof. Great, great. Now people are calling me a pedophile on the internet. That's something that I really have aspired to all my life, right? But this is the level that some of these delusional, bitter, angry little people are willing to go to. And why? Because they disagreed with one of my guests. I've had 1,000 guests, right? But they had such venom, such vitriol, such hatred in their hearts that they decided to go and slander me publicly on Twitter, making up shit, right? In the past few weeks, I've also gotten hate mail and death threats by email and more. I got harassed for days, again, simply for hosting a guest that some people disagreed with. Another show host and is just released my personal information right on his live show and encouraged people to, again, quote, make me pay. Now, on Luis Elizondo, here are some indisputable facts. And if you're an ass licker and want to live in a delusional world where facts aren't facts, then go ahead. But here are some indisputable facts about Luis Elizondo. Luis Elizondo lied to or misled the New York Times. He lied to the History Channel or misled the History Channel. He lied to the public as well, I believe, or misled the public. His organization, TTSA, lied to investors, promising people a spaceship and all kinds of things they never delivered. TTSA also, while he was a member, tried to conceal the fact that they were the publisher of Bob Lazar's book. Luis Elizondo apparently lied to the government and misused whatever authority he had so he could declassify 3 videos that I think are worthless, that prove absolutely nothing, so that he could get a new lucrative job with Tom DeLonge, get a TV show deal, and get a book deal, and make money at conferences telling people that he ran a UFO program, and there is some dispute about that. He also misrepresented the organization he claims he ran within the Pentagon, what their budget was, what their purpose was, and what they actually did. He's also never discussed what his actual full-time responsibilities at the Pentagon were, because it wasn't being a UFO investigator. We know that to be false. Now, on to doxing and cancel culture. The source of me being doxed and threatened, again, it's a big club and I ain't in it. Just a few weeks after I was forced to share my personal private information with a radio show host who copyright struck me, I got doxed. And again, it's my belief, and I'm entitled to my beliefs, that this is not a coincidence. I've been doing this 6+ years. I've never been doxed before. Nobody's ever released my personal information, or at least, of course not. No one's ever released my address on Twitter publicly. No other show host has blurted out my personal private information on their show like an idiot. But a few short weeks after I was forced to give that personal and private information to that radio show host for legal reasons, and again, when you receive that information, it comes with a disclaimer that it can only be used for legal purposes. You're not allowed to just share it with your buddies who then use it to threaten, intimidate, dox, and harass me. You're not allowed to do that. Next, we can move on to payoffs and playing the game. Because here's something I haven't talked about. Recently, I was approached by a few separate parties, and these parties knew that my coverage of them and their so-called work has not been very kind. So what do they do in an attempt to get me to soften my tone and be, quote, fairer in your coverage, unquote? They want us to work together and all of us can make some money. In short, several different parties, I believe, have literally tried to bribe me to shut me up and force me into no longer covering them, or let's just say their less than credible work. Is this a surprise? Am I surprised that people would try to pay somebody off to shut them up so that they can keep their con job going? Not really. Nothing surprises me here anymore in this cesspool. And, because of all of this and the fact that I feel nothing will ever change in this cesspool, I was ready to just pack it in and do something better with my time and energy. Because the truth is, in the past year and a half, or maybe a little more, I have neglected my whole business. I have a technology business here. I have neglected that business, those plans, and that work that needs to be done to move that project forward. I have neglected my software projects. I have neglected some of my long-term goals and projects like the cabin. And if I'm being honest, I have neglected some of my fatherly responsibilities here and husbandly responsibilities, like the remodeling project that my wife, for 2 years would like me to complete in our house. They're not big projects. I just keep putting them off because I'm always too busy working on this thing. And, all those sacrifices, personal, business, long-term goals, all ignored or neglected to pour an incredible amount of time, energy, and resources into doing this. And the truth is, I really did think that I could make a difference, and maybe I have. But as the UFO turns goes on, and these slimy people who I have covered and shown to be not trustworthy people, they roll on. They keep making money, and all of them are making more money than me, of course. Some of them are making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling fake information and lies. And little or anything that I do or say about it will change anything. Last week, I almost packed it in. And, there are hundreds of new shows covering the paranormal and especially UFOs since the pandemic started. Most of these shows don't bring people the truth, but instead play the game. They take those bribes, or they just keep their mouth shut. And keeping their mouth shut about the elephants in the room so that they can get more subscribers, more clicks, and more views, and be a part of this delusional circus and its sad reality. The people who deny the actual sad reality about this thing. And if you're someone like me and you refuse to play the game, you just don't get the rewards. In fact, you get nothing but constant harassment and attacks from delusional people who don't really want the truth. But they want to live in a delusional world where these conspiracy land characters, who are their heroes, are really bringing them disclosure or the truth about aliens or whatever. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I choose to live in reality, not in a delusional world. You can't put blinders on and ignore all this. And if you're another show host and have been ignoring it, maybe it's your turn to tell people the truth. Maybe it's your turn to take some harassment on Twitter on a daily goddamn basis, to take other people's venom and nastiness. Maybe it's time for you to get doxxed for doing the right thing instead of sitting there like a goddamn idiot while these people are scamming and conning everybody with their bullshit and lies. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I did my best to be a part of a solution here. I told people the truth, even if it was ugly, while you sat there on your ass and did nothing but profit from your silence about these issues. So what do we do? What do we do going forward? Well, really, there has to be new rules and a new way forward. First of all, I'm not taking any more abuse from assholes. I'm just not doing it. If you're going to be an abusive asshole, I will erase you from my existence without a second thought. Also, I'm just not going to argue with idiots on Twitter anymore, especially nameless, faceless, brand new accounts. I love Mikey Horn and his 100 sock puppet accounts. Oh boy, a brand new sock puppet account that's going to bust my balls for having a guest, Cal Korf, on. A brand new account that just signed up for Twitter and has a name like Alien Gray 87 with a picture of an alien. And you go and you look at that account's tweets, and all they do is attack Cal Korf and people like me. I'm just not going to argue with idiots like that. I don't argue with Mikey Horn because he's such a disgusting, despicable, child molester promoting idiot. I'm sure as hell not going to argue with his fake sock puppet accounts. So I'm blocking and banning all abusive people. First, zero tolerance policy now. The first time you bust my balls and are, abusive to me, I just erase you. And I roll on with my day without a second thought. I will also not answer questions from or engage with nameless, faceless Twitter accounts or brand new Twitter accounts. You want me to answer a question? I'm fine with that. especially if you come to me respectful, but I'm just not going to argue with assholes anymore. And also, I'm not taking anybody's legal nonsense and threats anymore. If you're going to threaten me, you goddamn better follow through with your threats, because I'm just going to start making these, where appropriate, I am going to start making these legal threats public. You can send me an angry lawyer letter. We'll put it on the show and we'll laugh at you. Now, of course, there are some times when I get a valid legal threat. Maybe we got a fact wrong, and especially if it's an important fact. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about these people that are trying to get in my brain, make me worry about them coming after me for X, Y, or Z, or saying X, Y, or Z. We do our very best to fact check every story we run here. I'm not stupid. I know if I report inaccurate facts, I could be sued for defamation or slander. So we try to do our due diligence here, double and triple fact checks. And recent threats have made me even more aware of the importance of fact checking everything. I could get one fact wrong, and I could be sued. This is a dangerous road. Remember, we talked about C.W. Channer. He got sued and he basically just offered his opinions, right? So, also, getting back to roots, if there is a way forward for me here, if any of you have ever listened to those early Midnight Hour show episodes, I was much more positive about these strange and esoteric subjects. Maybe that was before I spent so much time concentrating on the dark side of this thing. I probably have seen more of the dark side and disgusting part of this thing than anyone else in this thing. Maybe my focus has been too focused on the dark side, too focused on the negative. If you listen to those early episodes of the Midnight Hour, that was my first show, an audio podcast, I was much more positive, right? I thought, yeah, let's interview these people. Let's dig for the truth behind this case or that case. And somehow we get away from that and spend most of my time digging in the dirt. And I'm sure there's a saying, if you spend your time digging in the dirt, you're going to look like a pig too. Spend enough time. So I don't know if there is a future for the show. I'm still mulling things over. But I'm here. I showed up today to do what needs to be done, to say that which needs to be said. But I reserve the right to walk away from this shit show circus anytime I feel like this level of abuse and venom that I get is just not worth it anymore. Do you know, I have a technology company, and the point of my technology company was to build software and hardware devices. It was never supposed to be a media company. But, things change. The point of my company was also not supposed to be computer repairs, but that became a revenue stream. So if it's going to take us 6 months to a year to finish this software project before we'll see a penny, maybe in the meantime, between working on that software, we could fix other people's broken computers, which is something I'm very skilled at. That guy you call, right, when your computer's broken, your cousin, your brother, whatever, your neighbor. I'm that guy. So, it talked about neglecting that company. I am literally a year and a half, which is the length that this show has been running. I am literally a year and a half. I found a goal sheet, like a timeline to finish this project or that project for that technology company. I didn't finish any of it because I was too busy here doing this shit. But back to the point of the technology company, also, the thought occurred to me this week that I could literally fix one person's computer a week and make more money than I make here doing this show. Now, I'm not complaining, but what I'm saying is, do I really want to put up with this level of stress and venom and anxiety and hatred directed at me, and people threatening me constantly. Now people have elevated to the point where they're literally threatening the safety of my family. Do I really want to put up with that much bullshit for the little bit of money that I'm making here? Or do I want to shutter this show, walk out of here, and go fix one computer a week for virtually the same money, right? Maybe two, I don't know. I haven't looked at our financial numbers here lately. I try not to. It's discouraging. Yeah, and that's a valid thing, right? Like, what? Why should I put up with this level of bullshit for this little bit of money? I could just go fix literally one computer a week, right? And COVID sort of killed my business even doing that, because we were primarily in-home service. So in other words, instead of taking your laptop to Geek Squad, you just called us and we went right to your house. But because of COVID, nobody wants people in their house. But I think that that's changing now. And, you know, I'm sure I could get a few jobs repairing computers a week. Maybe I could work harder on some of these technology projects and get them done faster than it should take. And you know, follow through with a dream. This technology company was a dream of mine. You know, I worked for other people in the technology industry, and the whole time I wanted to be that guy. You know, I wanted to be the guy that started the company and had a vision and followed through with that vision. I'm not following through with shit here. I'm busy in the mud arguing with assholes on Twitter, nameless, faceless assholes, most of them. It's just not healthy. Oh, great. Now we have people right now in the live chat who I've covered previously making threats. Making threats. They're going to run a background check on me because they think I have a criminal record. Think again. I have zero criminal record. But go ahead. You do what you need to do, Sarah, while you're ripping people off, right? Yeah. Walter Bosley is here. So I'm going to take comments and questions from the live chat, but we're going to bounce on out of here in 28 minutes because it's Valentine's Day. And that's another thing. Why am I neglecting my wife tonight when I should be spending time with her to come and talk about this drama nonsense? But thank you, Walter Bosley, who says, Stephen, the morons in the UFO community don't deserve what you do. Too many want to believe the BS. Well, that's part of the problem. It's this mass psychosis, right? All right, I'm going to do something else too, by the way. We're going to read the super chats, but let me see if I can't catch up in the live chat and go ban people that need to be banned. I'm not sure where the chat room moderators are. We removed most of them because, well, things got a little crazy in the live chat when we had all those moderators, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But here's what we'll do. I'm going to see how far back in the chat I could go. We're going to read all of the super chats. I want to thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. And please, nobody that's a supporter take my comments about the finances here, you know, like I'm complaining. I'm just trying to display a point that all this stress, anxiety, and nonsense and drama constantly is just not worth it when I could literally go, I could work one day a week Ubering or go fix one computer and I would make as much or more, right? All right, so let me find the super chats. You'll have to bear with me for a moment as we page through the live chat. I want to welcome everybody in the live chat. We had I'm surprised. We had a tremendous numbers tonight, and I thought everybody told me you take 1 week off, you will lose all momentum. You know, there'll be 20 people. And thanks, Dorothy Hawkins, for trying to let me know. You know, I have a second monitor. This should never happen. Area 503, thanks for your support and being a voice of reason. Hang in there, Stephen. Things have been rough, but it will get better. Yeah, I believe that. And thanks, Area 503. And I stand by my decision to host somebody as a guest who made a documentary and let them come here and talk about it. And the fact that people, literally one show in particular has doxed 3 people, threatened us all. It's ridiculous. Why? Because we host it. And then Rich from Goofon has got all kinds of problems. Anybody who hosted the creator of this Who's Lou documentary got nothing but grief and being attacked and all kinds of venom and vitriol and, you know, attacks. Area 503 also says, for any potential lawsuits or to have a cocktail on me, brother. Yeah, it's been kind of rough, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, is it really that? You know, listen, I've had real problems in life, like almost dying from a brain aneurysm. Some asshole on Twitter crying is not really going to affect me very much. Patrick Sheehan, $9.99 super chat saying can be and work for the truth. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Same to you, Area 503. It is much, much appreciated. We have Rebecca Turner with a $5 super chat. Says, you are making a difference, Stephen. You open my eyes, and if you quit, then they win. You know, that, Rebecca, that was another thought of mine. But I don't want to keep going doing this and put myself at further risk of more of this nonsense just so that the assholes don't win. Doing something just so that the assholes don't win is kind of a fool's mission. But I feel that myself, Rebecca. I feel like we've worked so hard to build this show, to build this audience. I'm sitting in a state-of-the-art literal live television studio that I built with my own 2 hands and with my supporters throwing a couple of bucks in my hat every week or every month. And what am I going to do with a television studio in my house if I don't do a show? You know, maybe I'll do a different kind of show. I don't know, you know. Moody Mongol says if Stephen is pissing people off, he's doing something right. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. Word Salad with kind and generous $10 super chat saying thank you for your work, sir, and thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. We appreciate it very much. Viewer-supported show. And, you know, I have to say, I'm venting today. I had a shit week, literally a shit week. Could you imagine having a week that shitty and then on top of it, you're shitting your brains out and puking with a stomach virus for days? It was literally a shitty week last week. I doubt I'm going anywhere. I just need to develop a new plan for going forward. And I don't know who World Chaos 76 is, saying somebody struck their... You know, I don't know what you're talking about. Lord Ludicrous Plaid with kind and generous $4.99 super chat says, whatever you decide to do, thanks for the last amazing stories, conversations, and pulling people out of rabbit holes like Lazar and Dolan. Yeah, I thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and your continued support of the show. Lord Ludicrous Plaid, always there to throw a couple of bucks. Tim Frick is here saying, I enjoy the content of your shows. Thank you. Well, that means a lot to me. Thank you, Tim Frick, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Vibe with me with a kind and generous $4.99 says he appreciates it. Appreciate you. And I appreciate you, Vibe with me. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. Much, much appreciated. Longtime show supporter, Vibe with me. And Lee Guy, longtime show supporter with a very generous $19.99 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Much, much appreciated. Victor Caliero says, maybe it was a good idea for Charlie Weiser to stay anonymous. Yeah, it was. And by the way, somebody tried to dox Charlie Weiser recently, Victor Caliero, and they got it 100% wrong. They claimed that Charlie Weiser was a well-known skeptic author, and Charlie Weiser is not that person. So now people are putting somebody that's totally innocent and doesn't even know who Charlie Weiser is in danger. Great job, these doxer people, right? Somebody's telling Sarah R. Adams to shut her lying mouth. Oh, geez. Why does she do it in my live chat? And why is she here today? Rebecca Turner telling me, go talk to Burnt Toast on here and Crude AF. They do the same kind of thing in a different community and know how to deal with this stuff. Talk to them. Well, thank you, Al. Yeah, I could use some advice, I suppose. But I think we've got things handled, Rebecca. I think we're just, we're going to change things up here. We're going to go back to the roots of why I started the show in the first place. This has got to be fun. I'm not coming here and getting attacked and abused on a daily basis, right? Wild Ascension with a kind and generous $1.99 says, thank you for holding your shit together. We love you. Thank you. And I'm very glad for your continued support, and thank you very, very much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sarah's losing business as we speak with her new MedBed scam. That's not going to work out very well, is it? Right? Thanks for, there's a couple of people. Yeah. So, and here's another thing. We covered the Freedom Convoy, and suddenly I'm a right-wing Nazi. And I got to tell you, I'm anything but right-wing. I'm very liberal, especially when it comes to social issues. But I support everyone's right to peacefully protest, right? So, sure, I would cover, and I like people standing up to a tyrannical government. So, yeah, we covered that. But, somebody throwing the word Nazi at me, all this stuff happened all at once. So in 1 week, I get doxxed, I get legally threatened. People coordinate together, friends. By the way, like I said, it's a big club. And these guys, a lot of them work together. And, we covered a bunch of them being scammy. So I'm pretty sure a radio show host who got my personal information got with some of these other guys and said, let's all strike him this week. That'll destroy his channel. That'll be the end of Truthseekers, but it is what it is. Atheist Earthling with $1.99 super chat saying, do you think the day after Roswell is BS? Yes, I don't believe it's credible, mostly because I have a background in computer science, Atheist Earthling. And for somebody to suggest that the transistor and the integrated circuit was somehow derived from alien technology, it's just rewriting history. The history is there. It's well established that it's well established that people were well on their way to inventing these things without alien assistance. And most of the other claims that Corzo made in that book really fall apart under scrutiny. Now, it is interesting that he did indeed work where he said he worked and things like that. So there's some truth to some of his story. But, where I have a problem is this. We got all of this technology from the Roswell crash. It's a bridge too far for me. And there's ample and supportive evidence that the book's not credible. Blaine Ryan with kind of generous $4.99. There's a lot of interesting avenues you could go down that don't involve this nonsense. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do, Blaine Ryan. We're going to change our focus. First of all, I'm going to be doing I've got 6 or 7 shows in the queue, which means they're prepared. I have notes. I have things to share. We're going to be doing shows on great mysteries, getting back to the roots of why I started the show. I love a great mystery. So we're going to be talking about this, 411 and why people are disappearing all over federal forests. We're going to be talking about crop circles, Bigfoot, the Yeti, and more. We're getting back to the roots of why I started a show. And I suppose for legal reasons and more, for legal reasons and more, we're just not going to be digging in the dirt as much, right? Not to say that we won't when we need to, or when I feel it's important enough to take the risk of more legal threats. Right now I'm fairly confident that we have settled most of the legal threats. Now there's still some nutters that just one person in particular comes to mind, and every time she gets drunk, she goes on Twitter, I think, has a few glasses of wine late at night. Fuck Steve Cambion. I'm going to sue you. Those are not threats that I take seriously. But when somebody actually takes the time to get a lawyer, explain the situation to them, their side of the story, and get the lawyer to send me an angry, threat letter, I take that a little more seriously, right? And thanks, Al Warrior, for your kind and generous $5 super chat, saying we have your support, bro. I appreciate that immensely. Yeah. So we'll take comments and questions from the live chat. On the Rise is here, holding down the fort. If you happen to see Sarah R. Adams in our live chat on the Rise, shooting her mouth off again, she's threatening me, telling people she's going to dig up my criminal background when I don't have a criminal background. Ban her from the live chat. She's not welcome here. She can come back when she wants to apologize for all the sick people she has scammed with her fake healing psychic powers that don't exist, or her fake med bed that doesn't exist, or her new fake med bed that's a tanning bed with fucking magnets glued in it. She's going to take money from people to sit in a tanning bed with magnets glued in it. She's going to tell people she's going to sue me for talking about that. I don't know what the situation is with that Lord Ludicrous Plaid. People are asking me if I don't know this person, but if did Darcy, Darcy blackmail somebody into making a document? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. And I also don't know the details of what threats were leveled by Richard Dolan against Rich Giordano from GoofOn. I don't know the details. He's going to be talking about that later tonight. And actually, he's going to be talking about that in a little bit, and I don't want to step on his nuts, so we're going to be bouncing on out of here. Any comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. And listen, I want to be very clear in that I'm really just venting because it helps me, especially to say these things publicly, let everybody know what's going on, what I've been going through, why I took some time off, and things like that. I'm not planning on going anywhere. Now, if these assholes coordinate again to get me 3 strikes in a row, that could be the end of our show here. I don't know. Or we can move to Odyssey or Rumble, the ghetto of the internet. Well, I shouldn't say that, actually. I've been very impressed. Not so much with Rumble because we're not getting views on Rumble, but we are getting a lot of views on Odyssey. I was surprised. My point is, we're not going anywhere, but some things have to change. I'm not going to continue on this destructive road that's just going to lead to more legal threats, more hate, more venom, more vitriol, more threats against me and even my family. It's ridiculous. Maybe, we'll get less views, not, spitting venom constantly, but I'd rather have less views and not worry that, I'm going to get sued for telling people the truth, or I'm going to, pissing the wrong person off. All it takes is one person, right? And they could all gang up on me and do it all at once, kind of like they tried with this copyright strike thing. And again, I don't have any proof that people coordinated, but it seemed awful funny to me, right? And there's a whole lot more to those stories, but, I've said what I want to say about it, right? I really don't want to give these people any more attention than they deserve. They're slime balls, right? Yeah, Bob, that's a good point. I could ask. Together Stronger. Bob Birkin says you should ask Joe to come on your show. I believe I have in the past, and he has not wanted to do that. But I'll reach out to him again because we try to give the viewers what they want. I'd love to interview him or talk to him, right? Get an update on what he's been up to. right? Why doesn't someone in the chat tell me who doxed him? Well, it would be multiple people by now, Dave. It was another show host and his sometimes co-host initially, and then more people picked it up, and now we've got the nameless, faceless alien accounts that just signed up for Twitter last month, doxing me, putting my address on Twitter and my personal information, telling people to go get me, and other vicious, nasty threats, even threats directed mentioning my family, like he lives there with his family, go get him. Somebody said that on Twitter. Of course, it's a nameless, faceless account. I reported the tweet. It got taken down, but still. Area 503 says, oh, it was coordinated. Truthseekers got hit. Goofon got hit, and so did I. All with 2 strikes, and they all tried to 3-strike us. TTSA, Dolan, Church, Fessler, bunch of ninnies. Yeah. Victor Colliero, I'd like to see an interview with Carrie on the ex-MUFON director. Send me his information, Victor. I'll ask him to do it. Is he sort of anti-MUFON now? It's rare that he does, except Bob Birkin says, yeah, I believe that, right? Yeah. Well, listen, I really do want to thank everybody for the outpouring of support. And I don't want people to think that I came here to have a pity party. I'm good. My family's good. And the show must go on. It just, some things have got to change. And I spent a long time last week thinking about when I used to enjoy this. And not that I haven't enjoyed it, but it's no pleasure to go finish a show and get hammered on Twitter by 20 different fake accounts by some asshole, right? It's no fun. And getting legal threats mailed to my house, or emails with threats in them, right? I mean, I can't believe that people are this venomous and hateful, that they're going to disagree with me about something as stupid and, something, it's like, I wonder, like, are people into like Dungeons and Dragons this venomous when they disagree with another Dungeons and Dragons guy, right? But this is UFO. It's so stupid. But what you always have to remember is that to some people, this is literally their religion. They believe that the aliens are here, that there's proof of it all, that these UFO celebrities are going to bring it to us. Just buy their latest book, buy their new documentary. There'll be some nuggets in there, right? And we've also got people like Dr. Stephen Greer, who has made more money than anybody selling this bullshit, used a dead baby to scam people for alien and UFO dollars. It is truly a cesspool. And that's another thing that I said, do you really want to be involved in this cesspool, right? Even if you're the guy cleaning out the cesspool, it's still a shitty job, right? It still stinks to be the guy cleaning out the cesspool, And so I'm sure there's other things that we could cover and sort of get off of the dark side of this thing, because it's just not healthy to focus so much on the evil in people. And maybe I have been too focused on that. I'm human, but I see these things. I see people being taken advantage of and literally stolen from so that people, can sell their fake alien stories. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off enough to go after them and reveal that to people. And maybe I have made a difference in taking some money out of the right people's pockets, or some would say the wrong people's pockets, because they're getting together and they're coordinating attacks to try to get whole channels taken off of YouTube that are critical of them and their, scammy shit. And but it's just where we're at. But again, I have to decide, or do I want to stay in the cesspool, or do I want to rise above that, talk about other topics, try. I'm going to really try to get back a positive attitude about interesting stories we could cover here without getting too much down in the mud. I also want to mention my friend, I'd like to consider him a friend, Michael Schratt, started a new channel. It's called Blue Room Media. Go over there when you're done with our show here and subscribe. People ask me all the time, what researchers do you still trust? I could count them on one hand. I like John from the Black Vault. I like Michael Schratt. I like Alien Scientist and a few other people. He's one of the good guys. He's definitely one of the good guys. So please do go over there and support him. He got a big bump from, I think, Third Phase of Moon or a few other people. I don't have a link handy to share with you, Al Warrior. Just look up Blue Room Media in the YouTube search bar. You will find it. Not my rabbit hole, Terry Joyce says. I'm using you as a source for my persuasion speech about extraterrestrial. Great. I'm in a college paper. Thank you for your support, Terry Joyce. I appreciate it. Tim Frick, I actually covered that song once, believe it or not. And I grew up literally a few-minute walk from the mixed gym and the pet store where Rocky's wife Adrienne worked. And believe it or not, I believe that Sylvester Stallone still owns both those buildings. Mixed Gym is a dollar store now. Isn't that interesting? It was empty and abandoned building for a long time, but somebody in the neighborhood told me that Sylvester Stallone owns those buildings and he holds on to them in case he ever needs them to make a movie, a Rocky thing again, or I guess now a Creed thing. Yeah, grew up right near there. I could see it in my mind, and we would always go like Rocky when we were going by the mixed gym, you know, riding our bikes. And the pet store has been abandoned forever since I was a child, really. But you could still see in the windows, and it's the same place. It's just been abandoned. It's just sitting there. Interesting, right? Yeah, but I covered that Eye of the Tiger song. I did it with a big fat beat, though, because I like big fat beats, you know. You can find that on my old YouTube channel, Stephen Cambion. Blaine Ryan said, I would have given up on this a long time ago. Understandable to get fed up with it all. Glad you're sticking around. Yeah, well, so am I. And I'm glad you're all here to support me. And thank you all for the support. It does mean a lot to me. I'm not going anywhere. It's just that we have to change things because I cannot keep going in this cesspool. We have to do something different, vastly different and better. And we have to rise above the cesspool. So that's what I'm going to be focused on, is rising above the cesspool. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank each and every one of you for this tremendous outpouring of support with the Super Chats tonight. And one more bit of business. People are sending me stuff to share, but yeah. That may be a problem, sharing some of that stuff. You know, I don't want to anger the idiots anymore. You know, I've said my piece. If they want to keep going with this kind of vitriol and venomous attacks, I mean, this other show host is literally violating the terms of service in, whoa. Wow, I want to thank Dennis for a kind and generous PayPal donation. I want to thank David for a kind and generous PayPal donation. And I want to thank Shell Shock for a kind and generous PayPal donation. And Dennis, very generous of you. Dennis, there's sent me $100 $100 PayPal donation. Thank you very much. And David sent a $10 and Shell Shock sent a $5 super chat, and also Tony sent a $25 one. Says, awesome job, Stephen. Are you also starting a new channel? And I sent him the channel address. Yeah, so we're rocking and rolling. I'm feeling better having gotten this shit garbage off my chest, and you'll know I'm here for the long haul. We're gonna keep moving forward. I mean, that's what you got to do, especially when you're, you know, facing obstacles in the road. You're never going to get to your goals if you give up. And I'm not a giving up kind of guy. Anybody who knows me and has known me for any length of time knows that. So I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep up the good fight. So I want to thank all of you for joining us. I want to thank all you kind and generous benefactors and remind you this is a viewer-supported show. Also remind anybody listening in audio podcast land, go on over there to YouTube. Put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar. Smash the subscribe button. And hit that notification bell, and you too can come here and take part in the live tapings for the audio podcast. If you're listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun. Please do come over and subscribe to the Truthseekers YouTube channel, which is the root of all we do here. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank those of you who reached out to me to make sure I was okay last week. It's nice to be missed, but I'm back, and we should have a full lineup of shows this week. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night.